But this Atleti side, they mean business in the Champions League. This is what their single aim is this season, and I think we'll see an Atleti side that want it more than Arsenal. I really do.
Oh my gosh. Let's just go to James, because I don't...
I really do.
How have you worked that out? Tell me what evidence you have to work that bit out.
Have you seen them play at their place, at the Metropolitano?
I've watched it all season.
If you watch Arsenal play...
They've been inconsistent
in the
league.
last 6 weeks...
Have you watched Atleti play in the last 6 weeks?
Yes, I have. At this very stadium.
So how many wins have Atleti had in the last 6 weeks?
Atleti have looked the real deal, man. You need to... I'll say this. I'll say this before we get to James, Hannah, as I'm looking at you and looking at the man next to you, is we need to stop living in the past about Arsenal in the league phase. It's a new game. It's a new Champions League. No one gives a crap about what you did in the league phase. This is a different Arsenal. It's also a different Atleti. And there's some new pieces that weren't there last time they played the Emirates.
What has been encouraging about Atleti's form as of late? Watching them slide down La Liga. Villarreal's gone past them. They've struggled at home and away in the league.
Lookman, if you let me finish, is why I'm enthusiastic about it. He's available. He'll be part of the squad. He will play.
Let's just get James in.
But you could argue that Atleti have put solely their focus on the Champions League. They've been quite open about losing games in La Liga. They've got the Champions League spot now, whereas Arsenal are fighting for the Premier League and the Champions League.
But that's not how football works. You don't just get to turn it off and on. You don't just get to be like, oh, OK, you know, we're not going to focus here. We're going to focus over there. It's all about form. It's all about momentum. It's about confidence in that team. And
what do Arsenal have in any of that?
You asked me about Atleti. He's sitting here talking about Atleti's form as if Atleti have been in good form. They haven't. There's been nothing positive about what Atleti have done over the last 6 weeks. Julian Alvarez is on an incredible slump. Alexander Sorloth won't start tonight. And
you said Alvarez is on a slump?
Do we not just have a conversation, me and you on Numbers Don't Lie, about Julian Alvarez's poor form in 2026? Did we not have that conversation?
Oh, no. We've got a big debate on this desk. I'd like to ask you, I know Lahoud mentioned the league phase, how we need to stop referring to Arsenal as when they were playing great football back in October, when they beat Atletico Madrid 4-0. How will tonight's game be different from the one we saw back in October, James?
I mean, I think Lahoud was sort of right to bring up that Atleti are a better team with better weapons, but I don't think that Arsenal have changed in that much of a fashion. You know, they really gave Atleti a monstrous time all night long at set pieces. They can still do that. They are still an elite defence, probably the best defence in the world. They can still do that. We'll see about the attack. There was no Kai Havertz that night, and there'll be no Kai Havertz tonight, but there will be Eberechi Eze and possibly Bukayo Saka. So there are weapons there to test, and Atleti defence that has conceded, I think it's 26 goals in 21 games. I mean, it's an Atleti defence that is weak. So I don't think Arsenal have changed as radically as you think they have. I think they're just a bit nervous down the stretch, which, if any team's nervous, it's going to be Arsenal.
What has kind of been your read on this Arsenal group as they kind of slide a little bit in a bad run of form going into this game, particularly at the Metropolitano, where Diego Simeone and this Atletico Madrid side has built a fortress?
Yeah, so there's two factors for Arsenal, really. First of all is the injuries. It has been such a challenge for them to get their best players, and in particular, their best attackers on the pitch. You know, actually, I thought against Newcastle on Saturday, they were playing pretty well for half an hour, and then Kai Havertz comes off, gets injured, Eberechi Eze as well, and, you know, at that point, Saka could only play a few minutes. So Arsenal look like a sort of bad attacking team because they're kind of rolling out their B team in attacking a lot of these games. Then there's the sort of question of tension. I think in the Premier League, it is all-encompassing. It's been 22 years, and I tell you now, Arsenal fans want the Premier League a little bit more than the Champions League, which is kind of strange when you think it's the only thing missing from this club. The Champions League has kind of been like a place, a sort of safe place, a place that they can enjoy their football and play well. I know that the sort of sporting tie wasn't brilliant, but the tension that they feel in the Premier League does sort of evaporate in the Champions League. I don't know what impact the Metropolitano will have. I mean, what an incredible ground. My first time there last night for the press conferences. And I know it's going to make a lot of noise, but Arsenal can cope with that. Arsenal can cope with a lot of things. We've seen until maybe a few weeks ago that they are a very strong team who can go to places and win games.
James, so much has been made about which players are going to be available, which players aren't, right, for both of these two sides. But given that you're on the ground, what are you hearing about how both of these teams might line up on a big European night?
Yeah, I mean, Mikel Arteta famous for keeping his cards close to his chest in that regard. And I mean, this press conference was a particularly bizarre one where he said Jurrien Timber was in 1 minute and then the next minute ruled him out. what we are sort of expecting, I think, is that Bukayo Saka has a good chance to play significant minutes. They have to balance their needs in this first leg with the second leg and the game against Fulham on Saturday. But, as you can see in that predicted 11, I think you'll see Saka and you'll see Eze. And that was a huge boost for Arsenal to have him back in the team. Questions as well at fullback. Ricardo Calafiori would give them a lot going forward. Does he come into the team? Christian Mosquera as well, who we kind of know is someone that has got huge admirers in Spain. I'm sure he'll be out to make an impression. So it's just the sort of absence of Kai Havertz that's really hurting Arsenal at this moment. And there is going to be huge pressure on Victor Gyökeres to turn up and perform.
What is their actual confidence like? What do you think going into this one?
Kind of everything they say to you is that they are, they're doing their best to embrace the moment. Really telling, Martin Odegaard was saying, this is where you want to be. And that is the refrain I hear a lot. It's just that then you sort of think, does that actually match up with what I'm seeing on the pitch? The answer is usually no. It feels like a really tense game whenever Arsenal are out on the field, and it feels like they can't help but want to defend. But look, honestly, everything I'm sort of hearing in public and in private is that Arsenal feel like they're where they want to be, and they knew it was going to be hard, but this is kind of how they want to achieve it. So the belief seems to be there. We'll see if the belief is still there after 15 minutes if it doesn't go well. But I don't think this is a team that thought it would be easy, even if maybe some of their fans are frustrated at the moments that went against them.
How do you think this clash against Atletico Madrid could coincide with their Premier League games coming up as well?
Well, I mean, from a purely scheduling perspective, it's really tough. I mean, they host Fulham 5:30 on Saturday, so that is not a lot of time to recover and rest. I think they've done quite a good job of sealing the two emotionally, but the further down the road you get, and if this game goes wrong and it sort of feels like Arsenal are teetering on the brink, I think that will really inform the supporters. And, it's such a challenge to keep the team and the club on side when the supporters are so tense and anxious. So I think this is hugely significant. And as well, because if by hook or by crook they can get to out of that game against West Ham on May the 10th and they've won both their league games and they're through to the Champions League final, then suddenly the pressure immediately transfers to Manchester City, who will have games to make up. They'll be the one playing in midweek. So I think everyone at Arsenal understands this is a critical junction. Not just, this game isn't just critical for the Champions League, but for the Premier League as well.
James, how much pressure is on Mikel Arteta to get things done, right? He's been at the helm. He's done an amazing job to get Arsenal to be on the brink of something truly special, but he hasn't done it yet, and we know every game matters down the stretch. We've seen it proven season in and season out.
Yeah, I mean, the pressure he places on himself is huge. The pressure placed on him by supporters is nearly as huge. We should say, I've not heard anything from the ownership side, from Kroenke Sports and Entertainment, that would suggest that if they don't win anything this season, Arteta's job will be under threat. There have been sort of exploratory talks about extending a contract that ends at the end of next season. I can only speculate as to what might happen to Arteta's contract if they don't, win anything this season, and whether that might kind of just make the mood too tense to be extending his contract. But he is not trying to. He doesn't need to win a trophy to keep his job. He may need to win a trophy to keep fans on side and give himself a little bit of an easier run next season, because I think if they don't win a trophy and they don't start next season really impressively, it's going to be such an uphill battle for Arteta with the Emirates.
So why don't we get started with you, JD? Goalkeeper-wise, who's got the better? Atletico Madrid or Arsenal?
I think it's hard to look past David Raya at this stage, just because I think the consistency that he's had. I mean, he's had a couple of shaky moments, but I think overall he's had probably the most impressive season of his own career so far. And I think he's grown, not only in distribution, I think you saw that gap, especially in the cup competitions, in between him and Kepa. But I just feel like he is probably elevated himself into the upper echelons of goalkeepers in world football in terms of what he showcased over the last 18 to 24 months. So I would turn around and say to you, I mean, David Raya is probably up there with the best in the world. So it's hard to look past him.
OK, so David Raya on the Arsenal side of things. What about defence? Who's got the edge?
Yeah, Arsenal. This Atleti back line, especially without David Hansko, is not an Atleti back line. And it's not your vintage Atleti back line that we've heard of in the last decade or so. But Atleti, we talk about set-piece sides in the Champions League. keep an eye on dead ball situations. Atleti are actually the most dangerous set-piece side in the Champions League this season, not Arsenal. So that could be a difference maker from defenders getting you goals.
Okay, so defence in Arsenal's defence having the edge on that one. Tom, midfield, who's got the edge there?
I'm going to go with Arsenal again here. For me, Declan Rice.
Funny how everyone was just talking a second ago about how Arsenal can't win, but everyone's got the advantage for Arsenal here today. This is interesting.
It's not done yet. It's not done yet.
Declan Rice is the best midfielder in this match. Zubimendi, I know he hasn't been in the best of form, but he is very, very good. Arsenal, through their defensive spine, and that extends through Zubimendi and Declan Rice. And then if Martin Odegaard can turn up with a big performance, it'll be really, really good for Arsenal. But again, particularly the Rice-Zubimendi duo in the deeper midfield, it's them.
Okay. Attack, Atleti or Arsenal, JD?
You can't look past Atleti for this because of just the conviction, the quality they have in the final third. Adam, I don't know why he's sitting here as if like I can't give an opinion. That's,
No.
What's the phrase for there? What the phrase
Let it all work out.
I'm just saying, the quality that Atleti have in the final third, I think has been showcased. I mean, this is still a team that put, 4 past Barcelona, or was it 3 past Barcelona? So they could really hurt any defence across the world of football. So, but it's whether or not those players turn up in the key moments and across 2 key legs, that's both home and away, is important here.
Manager, Lahoud, who are you giving it to?
Cholo Simeone. Especially in this first leg, Cholo Simeone, right? There's a different cut of quality, there's a different cut of experience in the Champions League that Mikel Arteta is trying to get at the table to dine with. When you talk about elite managers in world football, in the UEFA Champions League competition. And I don't care what he's done in the Premier League or what he hasn't yet. You get no medals for second place. This is where you make your name if you're Mikel Arteta. Last season, you made your name to get to this point, and it's amazing they do it back-to-back years, but you remember managers for taking out managers like a Cholo in the Champions League. You don't remember them for just getting to the party.
Who's under more pressure? Simeone or Arteta?
Arteta.
Mikel Arteta, 1,000%.
You think Arteta's under more pressure? Someone who's at the embryonic stages of his career.
Embryonic? You're acting like he's his first year.
Sorry, for a second. This is his first job. How many times has Cholo been to Champions League finals? How long has he been in this hot seat? And this is the first time I've started to hear grumbles about people actually thinking about a change in direction for Atleti.
I want to correct something.
I'm just asking a question. I asked a question. He was under
before
pressure.
we go to break, I want to correct something you just said, right?
Hit me.
So the grumbles you heard about Cholo Simeone,
Yeah.
and him being out, that was week 7 of La Liga.
No, it wasn't.
So
week
if
7.
you
It's
do the
2026.
update on the grumbles that are happening with Atleti right now, there isn't a damn Atleti fan who is saying Cholo out.
Okay, so let's just break this down for a second.
No Atleti fan is saying Cholo out right now.
I know we've got to go to break, but let's be honest. Like, Cholo's gone through a transition this year, right? He's tried to change his style of football. He hasn't gone the origination of what we know that his team to be in terms of that defensive, steely team. No, they're not that team anymore. They're expansive. They want to play in the attacking third. That has resulted in them currently being 4th with 60 points in La Liga. I sit here and listed some of the things that this year. They lost to a Sevilla team who are struggling for their life in the league, a Betis team who has struggled at all points, Elche in the most couple of weeks, and also they were 2-1 down a number of times this year. Is that the type of team that you have a complete and utter conviction in? A team that's going through transition, struggling in La Liga, and all of a sudden, because of the history of their club, you're all of a sudden so convinced that they're going to be dominating and complete this whole task? I'm just asking a question.
Thanks for watching this video from Morning Footy. For all news and insights regarding leagues around the world like EFL, Serie A, and all UEFA competitions, both men's and women's, don't forget to sign up for Paramount+.